so different from what I grew up. And then I started seeing that this is the reality of a lot of people. Remember Osinachi, who was the the lovely gospel singer
whose life was cut short.
Was cut short from her partner, who was supposed to love and
protect her.
Mm-hmm. And it was very interesting to see some people even blaming her. Why did she stay? Why is she in that relationship? Why? And very few people focused on the person who actually killed her, and that I lost a friend of mine as a result of what she put on her Facebook page, saying, I don't feel sorry for her. She had more money, she could have left. And I said, well, you do not know whether she tried to leave, because to be honest, the most dangerous time in any woman's relationship, in a volatile relationship, is when one partner decides to end the abuse. That is the most dangerous time, because when one person says, I'm leaving, the abuse escalates because the person who is abusing is afraid of losing control.
Oh, yes.
And so you don't know whether that day was the day she was deciding it was enough of that and wanted to leave. So being so callous about it when somebody died, and putting all the responsibility on the abused person with no single responsibility on the abuser was what made me, I just had to block that person. I said, this person does not think like me.
Indeed, I would have done the same thing. So what makes society blame the victims instead of the abuser? Why do you think that sort of thing is very prevalent in our society?
First of all, I would like to say that maybe many people find a way to dissociate themselves from being the victim. So when you think this cannot be me, it's easier to blame the victim because you think, I'm strong enough, I would not be in that situation. Nobody can abuse me. I'm confident enough not to take abuse. But it can happen to literally anyone. And we've seen it in the society, even the rich and wealthy. So they say, okay, don't follow Yahoo boys, you won't be abused. Well, some people do not follow Yahoo boys, they get abused. Okay, they say, don't marry somebody for money. But you see poor women and people in poor families still facing abuse. And even men, still facing abuse. So one thing I think is dissociating yourself as a possible victim and make you less empathic to a victim. And then number two, we tend to want to understand the abuser because we want to, instead of putting blame, is the need to understand what will make somebody abusive. But there is sometimes no reason except that the person is controlling, is not well brought up, and is maybe downright evil. Sometimes you can't understand evil, and trying to understand an abuser will make you want to identify with the person rather than the victim. And so I think this, in Behind the Perfect Frame, I made Neddy so normal. She was a normal person, come from a loving family. And I made it in such a way that you could see yourself actually like her as a victim.
Indeed. Now, there's another thing, that I would want for us to talk about, which also forms something you talked about in the book, and that is the glitz and glamour of social media. Neddy comes from moderately okay background, maybe not too poor, I don't know, but she comes and then she meets the man, and then all of a sudden she becomes the rich girl who wants to showcase designer handbags, wants to showcase, I have a man who's a billionaire and all of that. And that, for me, is one of the major issues too we're dealing in society, because the pressure that young people have these days to want to live the life, that rich life, want to showcase that I have a car and all of that, even though you don't even know what the process is, you get. So that pushes lots of young people to get involved in very unheard of kind of things, whether it's ritual, whether it is just Yahoo or whatever it is that it takes to just want to come and show off that thing. Now, how do you think, this particular thing relates with the average Nigerian youth, and then basically what is the message you're trying to pass with regards to this sort of attitude that we see prevalent also?
I think in Neddy's case, she was gifted these things. She was dating a guy who rented an apartment for her in a lovely choice town in Abuja. who bought her a car. And Neddy was just basking in that glamour without so much. Although she questioned it, everybody was like, enjoy it. He's your man. But she later tended to understand something called love bombing, where you just meet somebody without giving that person a chance to try to analyze who you are. You flooded that person with gifts. The person doesn't. Those gifts are not meaningful. Every gift should be meaningful. If you're giving somebody a gift, the person should understand it's because I've dated you for a few years. This is our anniversary. This is my birthday. But before she even knew anything, before the relationship even had a chance to take off, she was already gifted an apartment. And most people see it as, oh man, you're dating a billionaire. But some people will take a step back and say, this is all too much.
All too much, yeah.
I don't really know you like that. Why are you giving me all these things? And those kinds of questions, when you see somebody suddenly driving a big car, everybody will call him boss, but don't ask where did you get the money? Where did you get the money to buy such a big car? Where did you get the money to buy such a big property? And we have lost that community of questioning things because the end result is more important than the process. I think, in a way, there's focus on who has what, and the rich and famous has overridden the real process of getting there. Everybody wants to be rich fast. Everybody wants to be big fast, without thinking about the process of getting to that point.
And also the impression that once you come, so you also see lots of people hustling to come to the FCT because, I don't know, sometimes I ask, do you think that there are money or there is money on trees everywhere you come to Abuja? So it means that once you come to Abuja, your life is, that kind of thing. And I think it's also a good message to show that, look, once you come to Abuja, it's not as if whatever. Yes, some people actually can meet their soulmates who can be rich or can be very comfortable and all. But you talked about the process. So I feel it's very important. One of the things that the book is trying to show is there is a consequence. If you run into wealth, that wealth cannot be sustained because the way it comes in abruptly, it will also go. For Neddy, she met with her Prince Charming, but she also had a price to pay because you're showing all the things that all of a sudden is given to you. It just doesn't happen like that. Like you said, people need to ask the right question and also take a step back. Most times when you watch some of these movies in other climes, you get to see how when you're giving them some kind of gifts which they feel, look, this is too early, they'll tell you no. But it seems we don't have that culture, maybe because of poverty. People are so impoverished that once you meet them today and you give them 100,000, you become like a god.
Yes.
You're the best thing that's happened.
Yes.
But we don't question that sort of thing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, and the questions are very important. So instead of just, oh my God, you're a boss, thank you. How, like a mother now, the child will come from Lagos and gift her a car. What does your child do? You don't ask questions. How did she come, across such amount of money to be able to gift you a car or gift you a house? So those questions are very important. And I think as a community, we have started to celebrate the results more than the process. And I think we need to get back to asking questions and finding out how did you come into such wealth? How did you manage to build such amounts of followers, for example? The process is as important as the result, not just the result.
Indeed. Very, very true. Okay, so I still have Amaka with me in the studio, writer and author of Behind the Perfect Frame. And we also have another book, The Girl in the Picture. Amaka will definitely be back. I'm telling you, you'll be back. We'll have the full time, to review the book. But if you have questions and if you want to just interact with her, you can take the opportunity. You can call on 080-9597-4869 and 080-999-30137. We're streaming live on Facebook. You can join in the conversation, send us messages, and she will definitely answer any questions you have. Very nice show, Miss. I can barely hear you on Facebook broadcast here. There is some noise coming from yours. Okay, could you please change your headphones or try without them? Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Scott Keen, for that feedback. We'll do that. Hafsat Muazu said, good afternoon, Swat and Co. Okay. All right. So yeah. 0809995974869 and 08099930137 are the numbers to call, or just send a message to Amaka and also ask your question, share your thoughts this afternoon. Okay, so Amaka, looking at this book, right? What form does it? Do you also have any copy?
Yes, it's on Amazon Kindle Unlimited.
Okay.
So unfortunately, in Nigeria, we don't yet have an ebook format where we can put it on ebook format yet.
Yeah.
But we have it on Amazon, so on Kindle Unlimited.
Okay.
But the paperbacks are all over bookstores in Nigeria.
In Nigeria.
Yes.
And all they need to do is just enter and ask for Behind the Perfect Frame.
Or the publishers, if you can contact the publishers, Paperworth Publishing on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. They'll be able to direct you to any bookshop that you can get them in Nigeria.
Okay, so I wanted to also ask, what's been the acceptance or acceptability of the book so far? I mean, we should be able to say something
especially
like that.
For The Girl in the Picture, which came before it, I've got very good feedback. They are young adult books, so normally I'm a romance writer. I write romance fiction.
Okay.
So some of my other books are out there, but this book, Behind the Perfect Frame and The Girl in the Picture, was published by Paperworth, and they are young adults, and they are a different genre from what I normally write.
Okay.
So it was quite difficult. It was quite difficult to put my head in the space of a 24-year-old. I'm in my 40s, to put my head in the space of a 24-year-old and try to think about how a 24-year-old...
No, you've been in your 20s before, so you should know.
Well, I was in my 20s when Nigeria was a lot different.
A lot different from now, right?
A boyfriend would take you to Mr. Biggs and you're very happy. Now, if your boyfriend takes you there, you're on Twitter saying, imagine that boy. How can he reduce me to that kind of level?
I'm telling you. I saw this lady, right? She was talking about what it would take for a man to take her out on a date. Mm-hmm. She said you have to buy her a designer dress. Mm-hmm. After all, you want to take her out, so you have to buy her a dress. Mm-hmm. You have to give her money for nails. You have to give her money for... I was just watching. I was like, are you kidding me? Is this girl serious now? And she was saying it with a lot of confidence. If not men, I'm like, okay, you go wait too. But even at the end of the day, even if you find people who are willing to sponsor that, it comes with a price. Just like we saw with Navy,
exactly. Right? So back in the 90s, I don't know whether I had to say dating was a lot different. We were dating to get to know people, having fun, hanging out. I don't know. I've seen a lot of complaints in the dating scene now. It's about transactions now. Who is buying you a wig? Who is doing that?
Highly
and then the guy is talking about who is taking you to the hotel room, whatever. It's no longer it's no longer to me about getting to know people. So yeah, even though I was in my 20s a long time ago, it was difficult to get into the modern mind of a 20-year-old. And in The Girl in the Picture, she was 17, which is even more difficult. So I had to talk to a lot of young people to get their opinion about how a young person would talk, how they will reason, how they will think. I have a 16-year-old daughter, so I had to talk to her a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, is this something somebody would say in your generation? So it took a lot of time to get into that headspace. And when I did, I found out that it was a lot different from when I was growing up. Because if somebody buys me, rent an apartment for me, when I was growing up, my mother would say, no, you're not.
Of course, but now the parents do. We have Gen Z parents, I don't know.
You got a good guy.
God bless you. Go and see what your sister has given. That kind of thing.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly. So I would, if it was a guy buys me a car when I was dating in my 20s, or my mom would be like, no, why is it? No, we don't want that. No,
it will not even happen.
Guy just say, I'm speaking Igbo, but she would like to know more about this person who you not enter that car for any reason.
I mean,
but things are different now.
Totally different.
And so but it shows that obviously with generations things change, and things that may not have been more acceptable in the past will be acceptable now. And that's how it is, because even Neddy moved to UK with Lawrence without being married to him.
Can you imagine?
Moved as boyfriend and
and girlfriend.
They were engaged, but still, that was something that a lot of people felt, oh, that's normal, But back in the day, it wasn't normal.
It's not normal. So the moral decadence and the duty of care is gradually thinning out and making way for some sort of freedom that is quite inimical to. Because at the end of the day, I always say there are consequences for these things, right?
There are consequences, and obviously Neddy faced hers, especially prioritizing, because when she's noticed that the abuse has started setting in, it started with, because it's always gradual, isn't it? It's never, if a man shows up with violence, he's not going to get you to date him, no matter how wealthy he is. If the first day he dates you and he slaps you, you're going to end that relationship.
Of course.
So they always come in charming, beautiful, buy you this, buy you that, and then they worm their way into your heart. So when she started to notice the emotional abuse and the verbal abuse, by that time it was already too late, because she had already made her whole persona about this relationship, and that was the difficulty.
That's it.
That was the difficulty.
Indeed. You already build your life and now projecting the perfect relationship, and then you begin to find the loopholes, and then you just find it really difficult. And that's one thing, again, the shame of it all. To come out and talk about these things because of what you've already projected out there is also there. So I feel it's also, important that people should read this book and understand that it doesn't matter. Like, it's not bad for you to be excited about relationship and project if you want to, at your own risk. But at the same time, if you begin to see the cracks and the dirt coming out, it's also okay for you to talk about it, because this culture of silence, this culture of hushing it because you want to always put out the good there, is what has led so many people to an early grave. Some people are now living with a whole lot of disability because, they went through it until they had life-threatening injuries, which they're living with. And some people, it's just the end of it all. Someone from Airport Road said, good afternoon, Madam Swat and your guest. This book really speaks to the dangers of domestic violence and the pressures of a working person. It's a really good book. Please, how can I get the book? Right, we'll let you in on that. You said it on Amazon, right?
It's on Amazon, Roving Heights in Abuja, Roving Heights in Lagos, Roving Heights wherever it is. It's on Book Peddler. You can get it there. Book Bliss online in Abuja. Most bookshops will have it, and I'm sure the Paperworth will be able to tell you where you can get it.
All right. So the title is Behind the Perfect Frame. Once you walk to any of those bookshops, you should be able to find a copy and buy. Good afternoon, Swat and our guest. My name is Ash from Abuja. When I was younger, you did not come home with a phone that your parents didn't buy for you. These days, you see young people with phones that they can't afford. Indeed, we have lost the era of contentment in the small things. Swat, can you imagine living without the internet? It's definitely discussion to be had, because the moral fabric of the society is dependent on this. A great discussion indeed, says Aush. Thank you so much. This one here is a message coming in from, let me see, do we have a name? Anyway, you said Nigerians are good at praising successful people when results are coming from the person, but don't like when they are starting off. I could remember when Kofi started presenting in the station, most people were against him here and there, but see what the Lord has done. Okay. All right. Okay. I think this is something totally different you're talking about, but it kind of also relate to what we're saying. 08095974869, 08099930137. We have messages for you, and then we will continue as we get closer and closer to 2 o'clock, and we'll be wrapping up. So please don't go anywhere. I'll be back.
Sports after this.
Welcome back to your number one talk news and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
So we are back, and thank you so much for staying with us. You can call the number. I see some calls were coming in while that break was on. Someone is here. Hello, good afternoon.
Good
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon to you. Welcome.
Yes, my name is Emeka.
All right,
I'm
Emeka.
in Warrenfa.
Okay.
Yes, I want to commend the author. She's creative, she's intelligent, and honestly, someone like me would love to have the book if I am opportune. Because the truth is that the rate of abuse of gadgets. I'm not saying that technology or modernization is wrong, but you see, these are modern. So these are Gen Z parents. A child of 4 years or 5 years is already have phone, iPhone, iPad, and a lot of them, and you don't parent control it. You don't control it. Even the purpose of watching television, some have they know how to put parental control, but the truth is that some don't. Even monitoring what your child watches online, you have to monitor. There are apps that you can put in there to monitor, because with advent of all this technology and AI, a lot of they can do it in your place, even in your room. They can be cheating. You don't know. They are doing it in your presence. You think I lock them up, and that's not it. So I want to commend the author of this great institution, and there is a great lesson about both the parents, especially the students. Don't give a child phone until she's done with at least JS3. Then when she enters SS1, give her him or her phone. But once you give her phone, from primary school, but don't cry, don't lament when you start noticing those negative things. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emeka, for that comment.
100%.
All right, Emeka, do you agree with that?
100%. I agree with that. I mean, we one thing I've noticed about social media, my personal experience, is I've become desensitized to violence, because every time you scroll on your algorithm, you're seeing dead bodies.
I'm telling you, all sort of things.
Somebody has been shot, and gunshots in America, gunshots here.
Yeah.
And before, when you hear such things, you'll be like, oh my God, what happened, Now you just scroll to the next story.
I'm telling you,
I had to tell
we
myself,
move on so very quickly. It's scary.
This is a very violent, story. Why did I just scroll up to the next without even taking a moment to grieve the dead or even ask questions? So you can imagine if my brain was not mature, if I was in maybe 13, 12, and I become desensitized to violence because all over social media, one story of gunshot in America, gunshot in this, gunshot here, people are dead, 13 dead.
Yeah.
If you are desensitized to violence at such a young age, you no longer see violence as something serious. And that's where social media is very dangerous, very dangerous.
Indeed. Very, very dangerous. I would advise parents get this book, gift it to your teenagers. Parents, read it too, because you need to understand these things, right? Borrowing from the good book, the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. But as much as you'd also release your children, first off, ensure that you establish a sort of relationship that gets your children to become relatable with you or friends with you. Because, I don't see parents being the harsh parents even when children are at a certain age. But find a nexus of relationship with your children so that they're able to tell you, because if Nettie in this book probably had a better relationship. I don't know what the relationship is because I've not finished reading or I've not even read the book per se. But I feel relationship with parents and children is very important, so that at every point in time, before you take any decision, you talk to mommy, you talk to daddy, and when they give you their opinion, once you have a certain level of trust with them, they listen to you. And even if they want to do, but because my parents are not on the same page when it comes to this, they might just not want to, go into it and all of that. So what do you say about
Nettie's relationship with her parents were fantastic.
Okay.
The problem, Nettie's mother was a typical, hey, my in-law has come with a car. Hey, praise the Lord. Or my in-law gave us a house. Praise the Lord.
Yeah. So let's take this quickly, then you continue. Hello.
Hello, Swat.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to our guests.
All right. Amaka is saying hello to you.
Hello.
My name is Salasi. Honestly, in fact, I appreciate this woman not for this book, and I would like to get the copy for my daughter. You talk about relationship, and you talk about the Gen Z world, the Gen Z parents. In fact, we were discussing this morning with my wife. The guy in relationship with a lady, and for the first time, the guy slapped her, and she's about to marry the man. I say, I don't know what is wrong with some people. You have seen the red flag, but she still want to marry him. Then tomorrow you will be, by the time she started facing the abuse, who will she be blamed? Even at the relationship, you have seen the red flag. So these are the things that one need to observe if you're in the aspect of relationship. If you are with someone, you have to be very careful. Once you see the red flag, don't get yourself into it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Indeed. Once you see the red flag, I think that's very apt, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, in this book, it was really spoken about red flags, love bombing, and how it's very easy to hide it. In one of the episodes in the book, the guy slapped Lawrence slapped another elderly woman early in their relationship for stepping on his leg. And that was a massive red flag, because if he can slap a woman,
that means he can slap you.
To be his mother,
can slap his
just
mother
for stepping on his leg. I mean, who are you?
Indeed.
So yeah, red flags, very important. And always when you notice it, do not just try to gloss it over. Think about it, and make your escape plan as soon as possible.
You know how they always say, right? If you say love is blind, when we enter into the marriage, your eye will tear wide open.
True.
So, please keep your eyes wide open. I'm speaking to the young ones out there, the butterflies out there. People who always want to make mistakes. No, it's not like that. He's so nice. My God. Learn. That's why we have books like this. Buy them, read them. Learn from other people's experiences. They abound everywhere. And Amaka, thank you so much for putting this book together.
Thank you.
It's
so
an
much
amazing piece of literary work behind the perfect frame. And we've reviewed it. She's just given us a short review about the book. But it will suffice that you go to the next, bookstore, and ask for Behind the Perfect Frame by Amakazie and read the book. Gift it to your teenagers, gift it to your parents, gift it to anyone around you, and I'm sure you'll be glad you did, because it makes for a perfect read any day, anytime. So, what will be your final words before we let you go this afternoon, Amaka?
My final words, always put yourself first. If your relationship should always be just that, a relationship. You matter. And if the relationship is not building you up, then it's time to let that relationship die.
Indeed. It is time to let it die, because if a relationship is just, pushing you out and all of that, then there's no relationship, right? It takes two to tango and all of that and make things work. So, yeah. Amazing. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
And apologies for starting late, but we had an amazing conversation.
And sometimes short is sweet.
I'm telling you, sometimes short is sweet. Very true, I agree.
Yes.
But I'm sure we'll see you some other time when you're in town.
Yes.
You're traveling today?
I'm traveling. We have a commitment today.
Okay.
But I'll be traveling early next week.
All right. So when next your chance, we should be able to review your other works, because she is an author. How many books do you have in print right now?
A lot.
Okay.
Up to 20. But this is my, the girl in the picture is my first traditionally published book, because I self-publish.
Okay.
But it was published by Paperworth Publishing, which is my first traditionally published
beautiful,
book.
beautiful. All right. Thank you for coming over.
Thank you for having me.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you for your questions
Thank
as well.
you too for sharing in your work with us. We appreciate you. We'll take a quick break, and then we will be right back. Don't go anywhere.